Well, the Padre Island National Seashore getting ready to host their first public Kemp's Ridley sea turtle release. That would be tomorrow morning. The hatchlings will be released around 6:45 in the morning. However, park rangers want to make sure you remember to call the hatchling hotline, as they call it, to make sure the turtles are ready to be released as scheduled. Things can change, they say, at a moment's notice. They might decide not to do it. They may decide to do it early. In any event, call the number 949-7163, 949-7163 to check it out beforehand.
That is one of my bucket lists to see.
Things to do. You got to see
release.
that. They're very cute. It's just nature right there for you.
Exactly.
Yep. Much more.